Everyone told us retirement would make us happier. And honestly, we believed them until we didn't.
And we weren't alone. MassMutual just did a survey of 2,000 pre-retirees and retirees to check out what is the best age to retire and what do they need to do to be happy. And as it turned out, only 2/3 of those in the survey were actually happy in retirement. So today we're going to unpack everything that's in this MassMutual survey, and the link is below if you want to dig deeper. The first thing the survey says is that the average age is 62, 63, 64, but the average age that everyone felt was the best age to retire was 63. Now, don't forget that some people hadn't retired yet, so it could be skewed a little bit. But that sounds like an average number. I think everyone thinks 65 is a number that's been pushed into our brains. But the first problem that came out of this survey that people said why they were unhappy was expectations did not meet the reality of their life.
So really, I think the survey is less about what age, like the actual number, but it's more about life events and life feelings that put you in this crossroads, right? So, it's the right time for you to retire when your expectations are no longer meeting reality.
Yeah, the first thing we found in the survey was that people are unhappy in retirement. 67% of the people were happy. The rest weren't. And that's because the expectations of retirement did not match up with reality of retirement.
Right. 77% of pre-retirees expected to feel happier. And once they got into it, this expectation just didn't meet reality. And that's where they were falling short.
And we see this all the time. We saw it with ourselves. We had this vision of what retirement was going to be like because we've been sold this for decades. Save enough money, put it in a 401k, work on the money side of things. And then when you have enough money to retire, whatever that lifestyle might be, and for some people, they just keep working because they don't think they have enough money, but that's another topic for another video. But once we get there, we thought we were going to be really happy doing very little.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
That didn't work.
Nope.
We got really good at doing little, but we got really unhappy and realized that our expectations were wrong.
Right.
And I think that's what maybe you were saying earlier, is that you've got to have different expectations of what this phase is like, because then you can be happier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the next point that really was called out in the survey, which we are big believers in fact, we built this business around it, is all the planning that you've done and all the money that you may have does not buy your happiness. Retirement is more than financial planning. And really, that point right there solidified why we started Retirement Transformed.
And the most happiest retirees are ones that prioritize their health, wellness, and social life. So, going to the gym, building muscle, eating protein, having good nutrition, that is key to health span. We all talk about lifespan. How long are you going to live? And today, I think we did a video recently that I'm 68, so I'm expected to live to something like 82 or something. It's not a long time. But if you can spend time working on your health and wellness, not only will we live longer, but we'll be healthier longer. So we'll be able to be more active as we get older. But a lot of people don't do that. They spend time in a sedentary lifestyle. Right. And that's why they get sad, because now they can't get out of a chair. They can't really walk. They can't do this. They can't ride a bike anymore. So
they get sad, they get frustrated, they get angry.
And it compounds.
And it compounds. Yeah, absolutely.
And the other piece of that is if they're not working hard on relationships, they're going to suffer and they're going to get depressed and feel lonely. And that's chronic loneliness is feeling lonely every day for 2 weeks, and that's as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
So
the money isn't going to buy you happiness.
Right. And that loneliness piece really comes to the next point that the survey called out, which is social connection is critical to your happiness. 76% of people are happier when they spend their retirement years with people they love, in communities they love, doing things that they love. So in order to do that, you have to do it with intention.
Yeah.
And again, this survey called out a lot of things that we believed when we built the business.
I have struggled over the past 8 years, I haven't done a very good job up until recently of building my own community. Kind of relied upon Jody, relied upon our kids, some neighbors we meet, but really to go out, to go beyond that, to build community takes effort, intention. It takes me getting off my ass and going out and joining the men's luncheon group here in Marco, which I haven't gone to yet, but I intend to go. You know, walking Ruby around and saying hello to people. You know, typically you wouldn't do that, but we both have worked really hard at it. Jody's better at this than me. I'm more of an introvert. And it's hard for me to go up to a complete stranger in a coffee shop and just say, hey, what's up? What are you doing?
Yeah.
But when I do it, typically it turns into something good, a great conversation, maybe a follow-up conversation, maybe coffee next week together. So having this ability to spend time and focus on community is really important. By the way, there's a download below the first link about how to 6 ways to kickstart your retirement. Download that form. It's an amazing way to give you tools and ideas on everything we're talking about today.
You know, I love the next point. MassMutual called out that health is a happiness multiplier. And really what they dug into in the survey is if you spend time on your health and wellness, your level of happiness will multiply over time. And I think we've found that. Again, it's calling out things that we've been talking about on the channel for years. We've been providing videos on this channel for years about health and wellness and how for us, foundationally, that's the one thing. Our health and wellness is the one thing that if we do that and we get through the day in a healthy way with a good mindset, the rest of everything else we do will be touched in a positive way.
You know, one thing I've done really well in this phase of life is my physical wellness. You know, my physical wellness vision is to be physically independent at the age of 90. That means getting out of a chair, riding a bicycle, walking up and down the stairs, being able to get on the floor with my grandkids. I want to be one of those people, and they look at me and say, you're 90 years old? Gosh, I can't believe you still go to the gym. And I've done this because I go to the gym. And a part of what's happened to me, particularly down here in Florida, is we joined a gym 2 years ago called Get Cat Fit, and it's a
functional fitness
boot camp. And I go to the 5 a.m. class, and I'm not alone. It's a very small room. There are 15 of us in there, and it's the same 15 people every single day, 5 days a week. This is our 3rd year doing it, and when I came back last week from New Jersey, we drove down Wednesday 11 hours, Thursday 8 hours. I couldn't wait to get to the gym. We're texting each other, and these are real estate agents, lawyers, bankers, or people that live here on Marco. Roofers, contractors, firemen. Yeah. So they live here with their family. They have kids. They're younger than me. But we became really good friends. I couldn't wait to get back to gym. And when I walked in last Friday morning at 10 minutes to 5, I got there early because I wanted to see everybody. It was like the first day of school. The hugs and the high fives and have you been and this and that. I was so damn excited that when I started to work out, I really wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. And I strained my back. So now I've spent 5 days trying to bring myself back together. But I am so happy in the morning at 5 a.m. with this group of people. I know I'm getting fitter. I know I'm thinking about positivity and eating right and all of that. But the community piece that came with it really made me happy. And the MassMutual survey said that, I think, what's the number? 70% of people versus 47% are happier if they exercise. So I think it's a big thing
it is.
to think about.
It should be one of the number one things on your mind. The last point that they called out, which I think also is critical, and again, it's a founding principle in our business, is redefining your retirement is key. and the real word in there that you need to pay attention to is it's your retirement. So redefining your retirement with focus on things that are important to you, important to your family, important to your relationships, important to your health and wellness. That is what is foundational to the new focus.
Well, the first one we talked about today was that they were, 35% of people who retired were unhappy because retirement didn't meet their expectations. This is about change your expectations, redesign for yourself what this stage of life looks like. We just are in week 6 of our 8-week annual masterclass, and the people in there are realizing that there's so much more to life than what they thought they were, and they're all redesigning their own retirement phase. It's been incredible to watch the transformation take place, and you only get to do this once. So why not spend the time investing in some books? Watch more of our episodes. Think about joining our masterclass next year. Make sure you're on our mailing list by downloading something, and then you'll get, we do one email a month, so it's not a huge load, but make sure you're listening to some of the things that we do to help you transform this phase of life.
Absolutely. Let's go to some questions.
All right, we got some questions our team put together for us. Okay. Hi, I'm Phil. I'm 67. I thought retirement would be more exciting, but it feels flat. How do you bring the energy back? Well, one way to bring the energy back is to do some physical activity. Now, I've been noticing recently that I'm a bit sluggish in the morning, particularly if I don't go to the gym. So this morning, because my back hurts, I didn't go to the gym. I decided, you know what? The last 5 days I wake up and I feel tired. So I did my morning routine, got up at 4, had my water, read my scripture, did my journaling, did my meditation. And I said, you know what? I'm going to walk a mile one way and come back. Took me 35 minutes. It changed my day, 100%. Instead of waiting for Jody to wake up and come out and have coffee. So I think one thing you could do is make sure you move first thing in the morning.
Yeah, and I think the second thing, in our masterclass, we had a deep dive with one of our participants, and one of the things I said to him was not only this idea of moving your body and getting the endorphins going and all the things, but really being conscious of how you're fueling your body. Are you fueling your body with the right amounts of hydration, the right amounts of macronutrients, the right amounts of protein, the right amounts and the variational right amounts of different foods, fruits, and vegetables? Because I think if you're like me, all during your career, it was catch as catch can with meals. And sometimes I skipped breakfast, I skipped lunch, got home, had a million things going on with the kids, sat down for dinner at 9:00 at night and ate whatever we had. Super unhealthy. So to carry that trait or that schedule forward into retirement just doesn't make sense. So what are you doing to course correct your nutrition at the same time?
We are not nutritionists, but we read a lot about it, and we follow a lot of folks on social media, and we have some great organizations that we partner with about education. Exercise and building muscle, number 1. Number 2 is protein. Yeah. If you wake up and eat a heavy load of carbs for breakfast, you're going to be tired in about 15 minutes. So you have to be careful with that. You got to learn more about what the right thing is to do. Okay. Hi, I'm Chris. I'm 70 years old. My friends from work are gone and I feel lonely. And that's a true thing. I remember we went through that. How do you rebuild community? I think I mentioned it a minute ago. It takes effort. When you're outside walking around, you walk into a coffee shop and you see someone sitting alone. Hey, how are you? How's your day going? It takes some effort and intention.
Right.
Go through your list. I've recently reconnected with high school friends, college friends, some work friends that perhaps were older than me that I know are retired now, that were mentors of mine. Schedule time to talk to them on the phone, schedule time to have coffee. It just takes some effort on your part. And then all of a sudden you say, we should do this again. But you have to make put the energy behind it to make that happen.
Yeah, and I also think it's easier to create community when there's a common sense of purpose. And I know we lean on this a lot, but, volunteering where you have a common sense of purpose with the people around you, you have an immediate link or bond to whatever the cause is. And I think that's an easy way to dip your toe into community.
Okay. This is Angela. I'm 66. I worry about outliving my money. Does that fear ever really go away?
No,
Probably not.
probably not.
Yeah. I mean, I remember my father, didn't have a lot of money, but he had some money, and he had a yellow pad of paper, and he would call his Merrill Lynch stockbroker at the end of every day, how much do I have? And every day, he was worried every day. He would watch MSNBC or whatever the stock TV show was and just follow his stocks and look at it all day long. And he had plenty.
Yeah.
But he always worried about it.
And I would say, Angela, maybe you're focused on the wrong thing, because maybe that's a concern you'll never outlive, you'll never get away from. But my concern would be, am I going to outlive my health span? Am I going to outlive the years that I have in front of me that I'm healthy? So if I'm going to live for 30 more years, do I only have 10 more years of healthy years based on my habits and routines? If that's the case, that I know I can fix. I can fix that, right now, barring a major disease, of course.
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed this video. This next one, the 11 worst retirement tips we heard before we retired. Watch this one next, because it'll really help you perhaps create a better life for yourself in this phase.